are live.
Live and direct. Welcome to Let Your Words Count, where we explore the meanings behind the words that shape our lives. And you have joined us now. We are on episode 40. Time is flying. It does not seem like we are 40 episodes in, but this is it. Episode number 40. I'm Gary Gant here with Ethan Merriweather, and we have our friend of the show, frequent guest with us, my cousin Michael.
Peace.
All right. What's been going on with y'all fellas today, man?
Today's a really good day, bro.
Yeah.
It's the end of July. Mm-hmm. Summer is
crazy.
Starting to wrap up a little bit.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Home stretch.
We in the home stretch.
Mm-hmm. I know, right?
I miss summertime already.
Sure.
But
sure.
I've had a great summer. I got some really cool vacations coming up here in the next couple months. So I'm gonna live the rest of this summertime out to the fullest.
That's awesome.
Work is going well. Life is getting better every day.
That's great.
It's just it's a good time. We have 40 episodes in this.
Telling you, bro.
Yes,
That's
sir.
a milestone.
Yes,
Running
it
like a
is.
freight train, too.
Right.
Yeah,
For
that's
sure.
crazy. I
For
love
sure.
it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah,
What about you,
absolutely.
E?
Oh man, it's great, man. This has been a very, very full summer. You know, we've been doing a lot of traveling. We've been to Florida. We've been to Ohio, St. Louis. We got back from the Ark Encounter. So we went to we went to the Ark Encounter, checked that out.
I love that.
Yeah, it was interesting, very, very interesting. Then we went to the Creation Museum and different things like that. It was really, really cool.
Sweet.
You know, but it's definitely been, like you said, a full summer this, and I'm tired, right? So, but just excited to be back online right now.
That's what's up.
You know,
That's what's up.
stuff.
How'd you like that Ark Encounter? Walking up to that thing, because I've been there a couple times. Walking up to that thing and seeing the sheer, have you been there
I
yet?
haven't been there yet.
Yeah.
Been
The
there, heard
sheer
about it.
scale.
Right.
Yeah.
Walking up to it, you like, yo, I did not expect it to be this big.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's what they have, a scale version of the Ark up there, right?
Bro, full sized
Crazy. That's
Ark.
crazy.
And it's unbelievable. And then when you go inside, like it's actual wood.
Right,
Like it's not
right.
put together so it's just like for show.
Yeah.
Like it's actually built.
Wow.
It's unbelievable, man.
Wow.
It's a sight to behold. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Absolutely.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's good
Yeah,
stuff.
Mike, I was thinking the same thing. Like as we were driving to it, and then we had to get on the bus in order to get to it, and it's just like, wow. Like if anybody haven't experienced that, definitely go check out the Ark Encounter.
Yeah. It's in Kentucky, right? Or
Yeah, it's in
Tennessee?
Kentucky.
Kentucky.
It's in Kentucky. Yeah. Well, we had a BRBO, and we stayed at, and then it's kind of like an Airbnb.
Oh, okay.
And we stayed there. We 2-day pass.
Okay.
So we did the Creation Museum and the Ark Encounter.
You know what? I kind of like the Creation Museum inside better than I like the Ark. Like the Ark was
Agreed.
really, really dope,
Agreed.
but the Creation Museum inside that museum, it was really, really cool.
Yeah. Agreed. I agree. I think that some stuff, once again, is yeah, we don't have to go there, but it was
It's a good experience.
Yeah, but I think what it does is it gives you a good mindset as to how to approach things, you know, and definitely Ark. When you go and walk through the Ark, you see those 3 levels, and you think to yourself like, wow, man, the engineering behind that is just like phenomenal, right?
unbelievable,
So
man.
it's
It's really
unbelievable.
cool.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's
Gee,
awesome.
what's like
Gee,
been
what's
like
going
for you,
on,
brother?
man?
Everything's been going good, man. Got a lot of new stuff happening, man. It's just been, just working on some things around the house. Got some couple of projects we're trying to wrap up here this summer, man. So things have been going good.
That's what's
Things
up.
been
That's
going
awesome.
good. Yeah, same. Got some trips planned here soon. Looking for big things to happen after that, man. So just
Heck yeah.
open mind, looking forward. Everything is going well, man.
That's what's up. Yeah,
Yeah.
we traveling together next
Yes, we are.
weekend.
That's right. That's right.
go.
Little family reunion. I
Good
still got to send
times.
that thing to you too, bro.
Where-
Remind me before
where
we
y'all
leave.
going?
South Carolina.
Yeah, South
Oh
Carolina.
yeah,
no,
that's right. The Gant family. Yeah, that's right. You know, when
Backed
we
out of the cruise.
Yeah,
we ain't
when
gonna talk about that.
when we were down, because remember, I lived down in South Carolina
Yeah.
for about 7 years.
Yeah.
And we saw so many streets and counties called Gants. Yeah, I thought
We
it was pretty
everywhere
cool.
down there, bro.
Yeah, I was thinking to myself, like, I wonder if they can.
I'm gonna move down there and be the mayor.
right.
Do it. Yeah, do
Yeah,
it.
it got a couple of street names and everything, man. It's just
Dude,
a
I
friend
love.
was doing that.
I almost dread coming back up here. To be honest with you, in many ways, there was a there was a aura or a mindset.
It's a different life tempo
It's a
down
different. It really is, man. That I really enjoy. It was pleasant. The people that I conversed with and surrounded myself with, man, they were loving, man.
That's what's
and,
up.
and it was, and I really miss it. Then it's just something about the North that I can't pinpoint what it is. I don't know. I don't want to say it's arrogance or whatnot, but I think it's just a different mentality.
Life moves a little bit faster.
Yeah, man.
Than
Absolutely.
up here. And people, don't spend a lot of time to really engage with one another in the same way that they do in the South.
Yeah,
we
that's so
talk.
true.
We even talk faster.
Yeah.
Like it's literally everything moves at a quicker pace.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah,
right.
yeah. I miss it. I told Tamara I apologized. I was like, man, I kind of wish I didn't. I'm sorry I brought you back up here. You know what I'm saying? She had a community of friends and stuff like that, and they were like so supportive and different things like that.
That's what's up.
And up here, it's just like, you're like on your own, like little private, sector, so to speak,
Yeah.
and people are just not like,
Not as welcoming.
absolutely,
Yeah.
And
Southern hospitality is real.
Yep.
it really is. It really is. But I'm not trying to have a pity party for our show. You know what I'm saying? It was a good experience, man. But what we're doing is bringing that hospitality up here.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? So
That's how you do it. That's how you do it.
Yeah. So G, you want to get started, bro?
Let's get it started. Episode 40 today. Episode 39, we covered the word silence.
Yes.
And silence was another one of those words that had us thinking a lot about it and kind of talking about other concepts that are kind of adjacent. So today, as a counterpoint to silence, we are bringing for episode 40, this is going to be the word respond. Okay? The word respond. Now, for definition, response or respond refers to an action or a reaction to a stimulus, situation, or communication. It can be verbal or nonverbal and is the way we choose to engage with what is happening around us. Okay, one more time. Response refers to an action or reaction to a stimulus, situation, or communication, and it can be verbal or nonverbal, and is the way we choose to engage with what is happening all around us. All right? So, Ethan, if you want to go into the derivation and etymology for us, please.
Oh, yeah. So here's the etymology, the origin from Latin respondere, meaning to promise in return, answer, or reply. Composed of re, meaning again, plus spondere, to pledge or promise. The root ties to commitment and deliberate return. So we'll say this again. So to respond, the etymology is from Latin respondere, meaning to promise in return, answer, or reply, composed of re, meaning again, spondere, to pledge or promise, and the root ties to commitment and deliberate return. Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
Interesting. So what kind of initial thoughts are we having about this one? This is another word that kind of on its face is neutral, right? It's not really a positive or negative thing, but I want to kind of address this again in contrast to silence from the last episode, right? Because we talked about, I mentioned like towards the end of the episode that silence, when it kept talking about communication, was kind of difficult for me to comprehend at first, to kind of gel silence with a form of communication, but it kind of started to make sense once we kind of started getting deeper into the word and studying it a little bit more, how silence as a kind of refrain from talking at that time or providing another person time to speak, it became evident why silence is actually a part of communication. So here we are with response and responding as another counterpoint. So what are you all's thoughts on that one?
Interesting. So I do want to kind of, as you were talking about the emotional lens, I do want to bring that up, right? So the emotional positive lens. So we want to get everybody that's watching, the audience, to see what we're discussing. So the feeling positive, negative. The positive is calm, controlled, respectful, and conscious, right? The negative can feel delayed or passive if urgency is needed, okay? The why, a response suggests a pause and awareness, while a reaction is often instinctive. Response connects with responsibility. So one of the things that I thought about is the why. And I think the why is always a purposeful way as to why we're using the words that we're bringing up today, right? So when you look at a response or awareness,
My bad.
I think about reaction.
Yes.
Reaction being a possible negative thing,
Right.
but the response is more responsibility, being more responsible with your responding. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So from a positive standpoint, I really believe responding is a positive standpoint. The question is how do you want to respond, right? And that's where the negative side will come in. So I think it really takes us slowing down and really evaluate what we want to say before we say it, or what we want to do before we do it. Okay, Mike, you have something, bro?
Yeah, it's interesting that you use the word react, because I literally wrote it down like 10 seconds before you said it. I think that responding effectively means that you're not reacting. Like, so reaction in my mind gives kind of brings images of like remember like in the old cartoons and at the doctors back in the day where they used to take the little hammer and hit you on the knee, and you just, they call it the knee jerk response or knee jerk reflex. Right. That to me, that instinct, that phenomenon happens without you having to think about it. And that's exactly why reacting is not the proper way to come at anything.
Interesting. Okay.
Because a reaction is something that happens in terms of like or
more of an automatic response. It kind of removes the thought and
exactly
and consciousness out
it
of
takes away the processing the moment that you would typically process.
Perfect.
Versus a response is something that you've had time to consider, something that you've taken, all of the possibilities into account, or given some sort of careful consideration, so to speak.
Yep.
It doesn't necessarily mean that it takes a long time, but if you cultivate your mind to get to the point where you respond and not react, then you can start to respond a little bit more quickly because you're already in that mindset anyway.
Perfect.
But when you become or when you approach things, when you react as opposed to respond, then I think that that's where, if we're talking about positive versus negative, I think reacting, it would definitely be the negative side of this particular coin.
I love that.
I love that too.
So, and I think when we talked about, like, you had the emotional lens up, right? That was something that was also mentioned there, like a delayed response when urgency is needed. But I think what you brought up is perfect. There is this time element that I think kind of helps draw the distinction between a positive or a negative response. Again, negative being rushed, impulsive, no forethought, not really considering what's happening, not taking time to kind of draw in and have a measured response, versus having some form of time to kind of process, to think, and to have a measured and a controlled response. That aspect of time, I think, is very important for this word.
I agree.
Right.
Yeah.
I was thinking about one of our previous words is mindfulness.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about, like, within that time span that you have, I think that we all should be respected in that time prior to responding.
Right.
You see?
Right.
Because the initial...
Say that one more time. I think that was important.
Okay. Hopefully I remember.
My bad.
No, you good. Because I think what we do is we don't respect, at times, as humans, as people, sometimes we don't give each other enough time to process and think with it. Because let me take a step back. Mindfulness was one of the words we used. And I think that mindfulness is giving the respected time for the moment in order to convey or to deliver a message, right? Even whether it's to yourself or to someone else.
Right.
And I think as humans do not respect that time, instead of the urgency, because sometimes the urgency thinks that you need to respond right away. But we need to respect people's time in such a way so they can respond properly. You know what I mean? Instead of knee-jerk reaction,
Right.
like you were saying.
Right.
Because if you respond in a knee-jerk reaction way, I think that there's many things that can be missed in that process.
A lot of
Slow.
mistakes can be made.
I heard somebody say this one time, slow is pro, right? You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
take your time, respect that time while that person is gathering their thoughts. So you are giving that person time to be able to deliver their message clear.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do we think about, because I think another word, and we talked about, again, time plays a big part in how we perceive or how a response appears, right? If you rush and you have an impulsive, reactive kind of response to something, right, it's probably going to end up coming out negative, unless a person is, again, there's an aspect of where a response can be quick
Agreed.
and not be negative, right? But it depends on the situation. If there's somebody's asking you something that is a question that pertains to your everyday job and it's automatic, you might be able to respond quickly and it still be a positive interaction and not have anything negative tied to it. So I think the next aspect of, kind of building on time, kind of being the differentiator between a positive and a negative response, I think emotion also plays a big part in how responding in a response looks, right? And I know you know this, you study, and we talked about Stoicism a lot. And, I'm having my notes here that in Stoicism, how you respond to external events is seen as one of the few things you can control. And our response shapes our emotional state. So that last part, our response shapes our emotional state, is an important one.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people think about this as the other way around. A lot of people live like this is the other way around. A lot of people let their emotional state dictate their responses instead of using your response to shape your emotional state. What do I mean by that? And there's a passage, again, I know that we've talked about this before, but there's a passage, I think in Ecclesiastes, and I think there's a mirror one in Proverbs, it talks about a wise man has his heart to his right, and a fool has his heart to his left, right? So that kind of insinuating that if a right hand man is one that serves the king, right? So if a king has the person that sits off to his right hand side, that's his dependable person. But it's clear that the king is in control of the person that's on his right hand side. If your emotions are in the throne and you're on the right hand side of your emotions, you're being controlled by your emotions, right? So this kind of separation of whether you are letting your emotional state dictate your responses, or do you exercise control over your emotions in a way that you can guide your emotional state by your responses. Use your emotions as your tools. Don't be used by your emotions as their tool. So time and I think emotions are both, key differentiators between how a response is going to be received and perceived, right?
Wow.
Agreed.
You still thinking, Mike?
Yeah, I don't really have much to add at the moment.
Yeah. You were saying something. I would like for you to kind of continue with the thought of time, giving the because I was thinking about, as you were talking, like, biblically speaking and scripturally speaking, I was thinking about the word long suffering. And I think that I think we do at times, and if I'm wrong, somebody please correct me if I'm wrong. So when you talk about the Spirit of God working within man, then there should be an aspect of the processes of responding carefully. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not for us to break someone, but a person need to recognize what's missing. And I know it sounds like I'm going off the subject. I'm really not, because I'm still thinking about the emotional standpoint. Because if you're taking something as fragile as a human soul, because to me, in my mind, what is your choice to be emotional, or do you want to take a step back and allow your heart to generate a position where you are ready to be malleable, right? And I don't, and with humility and whatnot. And I think that when you talk about that time, and it goes back to responding, it's important to, and I'm trying to get the thought out of my head. It's important to slow down and really care about that moment. I'm trying to think about the thought that you had earlier about stoicism, right? And you said about shaping our emotional state. And I thought that was very, very important. And I think that if I think we say this all the time, what do we want to be in the process, right? Do I want to be an emotional person? Who says that? Does a person that actually wakes up in the morning or whatever and say, I want to be emotional? No, they will never say that. No one will never ever say that. Or do you think somebody, that's a question I would ask. Do you think somebody would actually say, I want to be emotional today? You know what I'm saying? Is that a...
I don't know, but I would hope not.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah. I mean, but that's
go
just
ahead.
because of the way I live my life. I don't like to be, my actions or behaviors or responses to be dictated by emotion necessarily.
Right,
Emotion without logic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously there are some things that I'll do based on emotion, of course, but in terms of being driven by emotion, like I'm assuming that's what you kind of meant.
Yeah.
To me, I think that there's, I'm not going to say whether it's right or wrong to me, but to me, I think that there's probably a more efficient and effective way to go about life than to be driven by emotion.
So I'm glad you said that and I'm so glad you said that because I was going off on a tangent there a moment ago, but I was thinking about education. You were saying that the reason why a lot of times people don't respond right away, it might be a good thing that they don't respond right away because they're probably not knowledgeable in the situation to respond. I think that's wisdom, right? If you don't really know, you don't have to answer right away. And sometimes you just be honest, just say, I don't know.
Right.
With the response.
For sure.
It's good to know. And so when you talk about this emotional state, I think a lot of times people act emotionally is because they don't know. Right? They don't know what to do. It's almost like a baby that cries for milk and they don't really know how to express that they're actually hungry, or they're wet or different things like that. So the responding or response, they have to respond in such a way to get your attention. So I look at responding in a I would say in a mature way would be an emotional response. I'm not going to say that 100%. I think that would be unfair to say it 100% of the time.
Yeah.
But I think that if a person responds erratically or emotionally, like overly dramatic or different things like that, I think that is a tale of probably not fully knowing or knowledgeable or educated in a topic or subject, possibly. I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to demonize everybody like that, but you know what I'm saying.
No, I think you mentioned a key word for it, because when you talk about like emotions, there's qualifiers that come into play, right? Because I think as humans, we're going to all have emotions, and it's okay to have an emotional response as long as, like you said, logic is a part of it. But even saying that, I know that as a man, that's how we operate. But I know, like, on the nurture side, there is that aspect of there is a time when pure emotion is okay. When you're talking about love or a positive emotion, right? If you're talking about a positive emotion, being driven by a positive emotion could be a good thing. Again, we all have emotions. They're going to always be present. The key factor, like you said, is am I controlled by those emotions or not? You have emotions. The time we're talking about allows you to kind of sit still and say, before I react emotionally or instinctively or without thinking, I want to take time to process those emotions that I have so that I'm not responding in anger if the situation has made me mad. right? That I can take the time, process that anger, think through, like you said, now the situation made me upset. What kind of person do I want to be? How do I want my response to be a reaction and a reflection of the kind of person that I'm viewing myself to be, or that I'm trying to mold myself into being? If you take that time to say this, a negative emotion that I'm feeling it makes me want to have a negative response. So I want to stop my response and kind of take time to kind of process this and deal with it and figure out a better way to respond. You're going to have emotions. Everybody has them. Everybody has to process and deal with them. It's a matter of, can I be in control of my being enough that I'm not going to let my responses drive me and dictate how I respond, instead of processing and having control of my emotions and gaining control of those before I say something in an emotional state, if that makes sense, right?
It does.
Okay, allow me to challenge.
Sure.
You mentioned that there are some examples or some instances where emotion without logic would be the appropriate response.
Sure.
Give me an example.
A child runs up to you and hugs you, and you hug that child back, right? That's emotional. That's again where I'm saying, like, if it's love, if it's something that has a positive outcome and has you feeling like in a positive state, then I don't have to really blend logic with that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Something like that to me is like it's a safe emotion to respond in, and not have to blend logic with it. You can, but there are certain emotional things I think that, again, positive, loving things where you don't have to necessarily blend logic with it all the time.
Okay, can you give me an example of a situation where the stakes are higher than a hug?
A situation where the stakes are higher.
Yeah, so
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, so like where, and maybe you meant lower stakes situations, but a hug is something that it doesn't require thought whatsoever. You know what I mean? Which, there you go. Okay, emotion without logic. But I mean in situations where there's an actual decision being made. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Does logic not come into play when a decision has to be made?
I guess not. I'm trying to think. Yeah.
I'm just challenging you. I'm not saying that you're right or wrong. I'm just challenging you because I think I see it a little bit differently. But I'm more than welcome to seeing, kind of tossing the thought around.
So when we say like a decision has to be made, to me that immediately brings logic into it. So I'm trying to.
Oh yeah, I see.
You know what I mean?
'Cause I worded it that. Yeah.
So, but to your point, a higher stakes situation where being driven by emotion only. I mean, so I'm thinking, and you talk about high stakes, right? I'm thinking of. I'm still kind of going back to an example with a child, but you see a child out playing in the street and there's a car coming, right? I'm not going to take the time to think. I'm going to go and probably put yourself in harm's way to get the child out of the way and protect the child, potentially causing harm to yourself. The decision has to be made still, but the urgency of your response and acting and wanting to protect that child will make you run out there, push that child out the way. You try to get out the way too, of course, but if you can't, you want to make sure the child is kind of pushed to safety.
Right. And I agree with you, but we already established that time is not necessarily the thing that we're talking about. So the decision, to me, in that situation, it's a very logical decision that child has so much more life to live than I do. And so I would rather, in this instance, sacrifice what's left of my life for what's left of their life. There's an exchange, but that's a decision, even if it's an instant one.
Yeah, but I think that it's one that. So I guess when I'm thinking of like the bringing in logic, would your decision, if this is something that's a split second, you don't really have time to think about it, versus give me 10 minutes to think about it and then I'll give my response, would that time and the use of logic change the decision? Because if it doesn't, if I'm going to say split second decision, child in the street, car coming, I'm not going to have enough time to tell the child to move. You make this split second decision of running out there in the street, getting the child out the way. If you had time where, okay, in 10 minutes, this car is going to come down the street, this child's going to be there. How will you respond? Are you going to do anything differently? Right? adding of logic, the addition of you having time to think about how you respond, the answer is not going to be anything different. Right? So to me, in that instance, yes, maybe I'm making this split-second decision, but because of how short time is, you don't really have a lot of time to process logically. I don't know if I go through, maybe in that instance, in the time that you're running out there, you're thinking this child has more life to live. But I think the bigger emotion at play is protecting somebody that's innocent, that doesn't know that harm is coming to them. And I want to try to protect the innocent. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not going to necessarily,
But that's
I
logic,
might not.
not emotion, isn't it?
It's both. I think it's both, but I think there's an emotion that's driving that response. And again, I'm saying a child, but it could be the same thing. It could be me seeing an adult that I care about. That's maybe, same thing, walking and on their phone, not paying attention, and about to walk out in front of a bus like Final Destination. And if I can get to that person in time and grab them and pull them back, I'm seeing the urgency of the situation. I don't have time to think. The love I have for that person is making me rush over there, potentially putting myself in harm's way as well to try to protect them or pull them out of harm's way, kind of thing, right? So, yes, if we're looking at something that we're doing as a response, your brain is still working, but do you really have time to process the logic of why am I saving this person, or am I saying I love this person, I see harm on its way, let me intercede and let me kind of put myself in the way to try to help and prevent them from being harmed, right? There's a decision that's being made there, but you're not really having this long, drawn-out time to process and logically weigh all the pros and cons of why would I save this person? Okay, now why would I not save this person? You know what I mean? There's not that kind of time element there in some of those situations.
Okay.
And that's what I'm saying. Like if it's a loving emotion that's driving it, to me, there's less possibility of a bad outcome if I don't have time to really process and logic my way through that situation. If it's love, if it's joy, if it's a desire to protect the innocent, if it's things like that, I'd feel safer letting those kind of emotions be in the driver's seat with minimal logic and time. I'd be less worried about a bad outcome versus me knowing very well I have a bad temper. If I've seen too many times when I respond quickly when I'm angry, the outcome when I don't give myself time to think, when I don't bring logic in, if I'm acting off of anger and anger alone and very quickly, when I'm reacting, the outcome is negative, right? So as soon as I'm feeling anger, I'm feeling my logic is telling me you have to stop and calm down, because the outcome when you've reacted off of anger without giving time to think, without having control of it, has been bad, right? So the logic comes in and says, stop, don't react right now, because if you do, it's going to be something that you regret.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I see what you're saying, and we could probably talk about this for another hour just on this one point.
Right.
From my perspective, I think that what you described with the negative situation, you know, with the losing your temper, and with the situation where you saved a life, are both examples of a reaction and not necessarily a response. Because anything that you have to do without thinking is a reaction. You know what I'm saying?
Isn't reaction kind of it's still in the category of a response in my mind, right? Okay. It's a type of it's a fast response without having much time to think and process it.
Right.
Is a reaction.
Right.
Still kind of in the classification of a reaction to me, but a response. But kind of like one of those corner cases of it. You know what I mean? It's not the full spectrum of what a response is, but a reaction is a type of response in my mind. Even when a doctor hits your knee with the hammer, it's a response
of your body,
but it's an automatic one. It's my brain is not doing that. That's the hammer hitting the muscle in a certain place that makes this reflex happen. I'm not thinking about it, but it's still some kind of response, right?
Yeah. Okay. It's like a form of autopilot, right?
Yeah.
It's some kind of way of reaction.
Yeah.
We got a couple comments here. See what anybody say. Somebody, Mrs. Merrier, see if somebody can talk about this a little bit further. She says, please elaborate more about reaction versus overreaction.
Very good.
Okay.
Very good.
Or responding with control versus no little control.
Little or no control.
Good. Anybody have any thoughts on that right now?
Reaction versus overreaction.
Yeah.
I think that's a subjective thing.
It depends. You're talking about it depends.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I don't know if that can be necessarily objective, because what is a measured reaction to one person may be considered to be an overreaction by somebody else. I think it has to do with the way that we perceive whatever situation we're talking about.
I love it.
And then also it's based on, your own prior life experiences. Because if you, let's say for instance, just use this as an example. If you grow up in a quiet home where nobody ever raised their voices versus, somebody that you connect with that grew up in a home where everybody's loud, whether they're angry or happy. When you hear somebody that comes from that environment get loud about something, whether it's good, bad, or otherwise, it may register to you as an overreaction. But that's just because of where you come from.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's to me, it's a purely subjective thing.
So I got a question for you then. Is there any example that we can make it a neutral type of thing? Like,
what do you mean?
Because I know you were saying it depends. The factors are depending on your environment, how you were raised.
Yeah,
but
it's purely contextual to me.
You say that again?
I said I think it's purely contextual.
Okay, yeah. So I was thinking about, as you were talking, I was thinking about like when you were on the brother burping. No, but anyway, I was thinking about your black ice.
Okay.
Thinking about black ice on the road.
Okay.
And you're driving, and everybody experienced this. And this is not a factor that no one is. If you're living in cold,
You live in the north.
yeah. Right. If you live in everyone, if you're
live
not
and
from,
drive in a place where there is black ice.
Black ice, yeah. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, the neutral or common denominator will be the black ice, right? So when you're on the road and you try to correct, there's a process where you can correct it or you can overcorrect, right?
Yeah.
The overcorrection will cause damage to your car and maybe you possibly an accident, right?
Yeah.
But if you correct it properly, you can line it straight. So I was just thinking in that regard, as you were talking about, as it subjective or not, in different. I think that will be a pretty good example as far as a overreaction.
That's a good point. That's a good point. That's a really good counterpoint to what I just said, and that kind of changes my the way I'm thinking about it. Because let's say and I hate to do just one-on-one interpersonal relations, but let's say a husband that gets angry at a wife, or a spouse that gets angry at another spouse.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
And there's a situation where tempers are flaring and attitudes are elevated, and then there becomes violence. Then violence happens. Of course, that's an overreaction, and so allow me to take a step back from what I said about it always being contextual, because I guess there definitely will be situations where a reaction can be something that is far beyond the scope of what's reasonable.
Yeah.
I don't see there having to be I don't think you have to retrace what you said though, because I look at those as kind of two very different things. Because like the black ice example, you have very specific conditions that you're looking at. You're trying to maintain your car on the road in your lane, and whatever amount of turning the wheel I have to get my car back in the lane and back in control, that's a measurable my response has to have a very specific outcome that I'm looking for. And my overreaction is, okay, I'm turning the wheel a little bit and maybe 30 degrees, I'm back in control. But if I go 45, I've reversed it and now the car is spinning back the other way. That overcorrection is just, I've overshot my intended target. When you're talking about people, I think what you said was profound, because you might look at somebody that, a person that's been raised in a household where their parents argued and they got divorced, and then another person who's raised in a household where their parents argue all the time, but they love each other so thoroughly and so deeply that there's never a threat. Those two people might come into a situation and hear somebody yelling and might have very, very different responses because the context of their background.
Right.
There's not a safe zone or ideal spot. This is a human reaction to their emotions and what their experiences have been. And I thought what you said was very profound in terms of how a person can, the overreaction is contextual. It's not an overreaction for that person that came up and had heard one argument, the parents are divorced, to get very, very panicked at hearing somebody yell when another person. That's just Monday afternoon for us. It's not an alarming kind of thing.
Right. And in that particular instance, I would agree. And I think that makes sense. But I think I overgeneralize when I say that. I think it's because I say it specifically that it's always a contextual thing.
Okay.
I mean, because if those two same people from your example are getting into an argument and one of them pops the other one.
By the way. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yep.
If those two people get into an argument and one of them pops the other one in the eye, that's an overreaction without question. You know what I'm saying?
Isn't that contextual though? Because even the person that resorts to violence has some kind of fear in them that if they don't respond in that violent way, they're gonna somehow be hurt or affected, right? I still see that as contextual. That person might feel extreme, threatened in some, but they feel threatened, legit or not. They feel threatened enough for them to respond because maybe, again, like you said, in their past, they had something happen where last time this happened, I didn't lash out first and I got punched in the eye. So when I'm facing the situation again, I'm gonna be the one to bomb first, right? So contextual again, overreaction, yes. But if you ask that person, why did you have this kind of overreaction, you might get something when you dig into their response and into their mentality and their psyche. Something happened to them in the past that everybody else sees as an overreaction was the necessary reaction to that person because of their background.
So right? That's what you're talking about in my mind is the black ice. Mm-hmm. So you don't realize that black ice is there, right? And when you hit it, you have to respond to it.
Right.
So even like in the violent relationship or marriage or whatever the case may be, there's I'm not going to say always, we have to be aware of the black ice. and once again, everybody, I'm using black ice as a common denominator that possibly can be a potential risk hazard or hazard. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
Well, I was just saying that I think the fact that you use black ice is a very good way to describe it because you can't prepare for black ice. You don't know
see it. You don't know it's
that's
there.
the whole. That's why we call it black ice.
Exactly.
You don't. It blends in with the road. Yeah. It's something that you can't necessarily predict unless you see the people in front of you. You know, do a burn, a spin out. But,
yes, that's it. Yeah. That's pretty good, Mike. That's that. See, that's a learning. See but see, this the beautiful part about responding is to be aware.
That's exactly what my mind
is the awareness, right?
Observing,
yes. I think we should always have a awareness mentality because when you talk, once again, we're talking about some mature words here. Responding is, to me, I would say it's a mature process than reaction.
That's why I love how you brought up that. I'm not cutting you off. How you brought up respond. Respond is in responsibility. That was a great. Go ahead, bro. I wasn't trying to interrupt.
No. Yep. You good. I think I'm done with that because I'm gonna just say this and I'm gonna shut up. At least for right now, unless I have another thought.
We're here to talk, bro. Do you think?
Yeah. Well,
I know what you mean. Bro. I do the same thing. Yeah.
I think like these are mature words.
Yeah.
And to me, the question is, do I want to react or do I want to respond? There's a time to react, right? But there's a greater time to respond. I'd rather choose to respond than react. Okay, I'm done.
Right. In any instance, I would rather be able to respond than react.
100%.
Going back to the stoicism thing, one of the things that you mentioned is like, the way that we respond will determine essentially what our reality looks like. And I think I kind of want to lean back into that a little bit. I wrote down that our responses to external stimulus determines what comes next. The way that you respond to anything
very good
has a big hand in determining what comes after that thing, what the future looks like. It's based on the way that we respond to anything, whether that's
very profound, bro.
Whether that's the way we respond within ourselves in terms of our attitude and our demeanor, or whether that's the way that we respond to others in terms of conversation or relationships or whatever. Like, we're literally writing what's coming next, as if it's just a book. You know what I mean?
I love it.
And it's based on the way that we respond to things. So there's this philosophy that talks about controlling what you can control. It's called there's a guy named Gay Hendricks. He wrote a book called The Big Leap, and he calls it the zone of influence. Mm-hmm. If you learn how to master the zone of your own influence, mm-hmm. which is literally how you respond to the things that you can and cannot control, mm-hmm. Then you begin to kind of orchestrate mm-hmm. how your life starts to unfold. You know what I mean?
I think we have to, I want you to keep on that topic because I think that's the hidden nugget of this word. That's the big takeaway from this word, in my opinion, mm-hmm. right? Because that point of if you are in an environment, in a situation, and in the definition, right, it said like it's, your response is how you, I don't want to misquote it, your reaction to a stimulus, situation, or communication. So if I'm in a certain situation and what's happening in this situation affects me and I have to give some kind of response back, I am taking from myself and putting something back into that situation or that mm-hmm. environment. Mm-hmm. So in very real terms, what you said, the way you choose to respond to something that's happening is what you're throwing back into that situation, into your environment. And what are you giving something positive or negative back to it?
And
are you
then
throwing
we're right back to sowing and reaping from a couple weeks ago.
Exactly. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. So please go on, man. I think that's a very powerful
I
way
mean,
to look at it.
Being able to respond in a way that so and it can go pretty deep. So let's in my mind, I look at it this way. Each of us has goals or dreams or an imagined destination for ourselves. Let's put it that way. Whether that's a financial goal, whether that's a goal in terms of relationships, whether that's a spiritual goal, and along life, or while we're experiencing life, there's going to come obstacles and challenges and things like that to kind of test our resolve to get to whatever that desired end is.
I love it. Yeah.
The way that we respond to those obstacles, the way we navigate those challenges, that response literally determines how far we can go, how quickly we can go, and which direction we're going to take to get there. How much more mess or how much less mess we have to go through in order to reach whatever destination we've set for ourselves. Man, it's all in the responses.
Deep episode, bro.
This is really deep. And one thing that I thought about is it goes back to what a previous episode of the ego and persona.
Yeah.
It really does. Because your response is contingent on how you feel you are impacted by
That's right. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yeah, man. That's crazy, man. Yeah.
And we talked a couple episodes too about something similar when we talked about you give what you want to receive, and it's that same kind of concept, right? If it's something that it's just I'm not gonna rehash what we talked about, but this is deep.
If you have something, because sometimes when you talk about it, man, you end up kind of gravitating to a more of a greater thought.
It's a mindset, and it's kind of esoteric. That's why I don't want to dive too deep into it. But there's like a concept that says if you want more money, just as an example, and a familiar one that I'm sure a lot of people can relate to, you want more money. You are in that statement. You are saying that you don't have enough. You're saying that if you are wanting more money, you're saying that what I have is not enough to accomplish what I want to accomplish, like you were saying, right? So in that statement and that acknowledgement of, or that statement of saying I want more, you are also stating I don't have enough. There is a mindset, a spiritual kind of approach that I've seen some teachers talk about taking, that to the person that feels you don't have enough money and that's why you're wanting more. If you instead would tell yourself, I have enough to give, and then you start in your mindset of feeling like you need more money, if you were to give money to somebody, it changes your mindset and the way that you think, because now you're saying, I have enough to give to this person. Maybe this person is going through something that's more detrimental, but it changes your mindset because now you're approaching the situation like, I have enough money to give. And in that saying, I have enough money to give, and you giving money to somebody else that you see as in need, you're now changing your mindset. And again, the way you're responding to your environment in such a way that you're approaching life and with this mindset of, now I have enough. I have money to give instead of I need money. That's why I want more. So there's some esoteric kind of teachings that tie back to law of attraction kind of stuff, that if you're approaching it instead with this mindset that I have enough to give to somebody else, that instance that you start thinking like that means you're going to change what you're drawing to you, because you're now approaching things that I have enough instead of I need more, right?
Yeah.
So
And that actually, it's a really good
very
point.
long way to say it. I'm sorry.
No,
But
you good.
Go ahead.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
And it even goes a little further than that, because when you start to realize that when you start to remind yourself that your needs are met, then you start to change your response.
Absolutely.
So if my situation happens to be that that I haven't reached a financial goal yet, right? Let's say that's the situation or the reality in this moment. Responding with contentment and gratitude, it does exactly what I talked about a minute ago. It determines what comes next.
Yes, it does.
Because when you're grateful for what you do have, when you're faithful over a few things, you'll be made ruler over many things. When you're thankful and grateful and content with what you have now and you steward it well, then it's only a matter of time before you're able to manage and receive more. You know what I mean? And I like to say it that way because it excludes the possibility of us just talking about money. Because we could be talking about love, friendships.
Yes.
We could be talking about time. We could We could be talking about freedom. We could be talking about anything. When you're content with what you have and you find a way to respond with gratitude, then you're given more of it. It's literally just how it works. Every philosophy you've ever heard, including the Bible,
absolutely
speaks to it over and over and over and over and over again.
Yes, it does.
So I got a question for you. This is something that in my personal life I've been working towards. I'm not trying to put too much information out there or whatnot.
Miss Mary ain't gonna get on you.
No, she'll be all right. I think she understands. I think she understands kind of where I'm at right now with my thinking. Right, so. We've been challenged with something with our home, right? So one of the things that and everything you said is 100%. I totally agree with that, man. With our approach to being content where you are and being thankful and speaking it out, and different things like that.
Yeah,
I'm at this point where a certain choice I made. Now my response is exactly what you're saying, but I'm doing it from a point where I don't know how to move forward.
Golly. This boy got a monster in his stomach.
He's so funny.
My bad. Mute my mic. My fault. Go ahead.
So I was just thinking about like as far as so we can talk about maturity all day long, but there's a point where certain choices and decisions that we make clearly shows that you're immature in certain things.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And if I could be very transparent and very honest with how I manage things sometimes, that response can be done so much better. You know what I'm saying? And though my response is probably exceptional in some things, but I fail in other responding. You know what I'm saying? So if that makes sense.
So my answer to that would be, and I don't want you to necessarily say exactly what you're describing, but let's say let's say you're talking about I don't know, a decision that you made in raising one of your children. Okay, that's an easy one. Most parents, pretty much any parent, can relate. There are going to be decisions that you'll make as a parent that will, man, can you turn the volume down on that? I don't know if y'all can hear this out in Radio Land or wherever on the YouTube, But Gary's very hungry. We're gonna have to hurry up and wrap this up.
My bad, bro. Turn my mic down, man.
All right, okay.
My fault, bro. Go ahead.
You good. Okay.
I told you.
What was I saying? Oh yeah. So any parent can relate that you're gonna make decisions while you're raising your children that you'll look back on and say, I think I did that right. And then you'll look back on ones and say, I could have done that better. Right?
Yeah.
My thought is, in those moments where it's a situation where I could have done that better, to respond with a sense of or with a statement of privilege. What a privilege it is to learn from that mistake.
Very good.
What a privilege it is to have made that mistake and my child still is okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There are so many ways to
Very good.
flip that, to respond in a way that shows that gratitude and that contentment. I'm experiencing within myself.
Appreciate that.
For
That's
sure.
really good.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. I'm experiencing within myself, or within my own life, rather. I'm building a career. I made a major pivot in what I do for a living and the way that I'm living life about a year ago, a little over a year ago, and it has been very likely the most challenging thing that I've ever experienced. This series of events that I've experienced since April of 2024 to now, I've never experienced anything like it. And there have been times when I've been discouraged. There have been times when I've been angry. There have been times when I've been sad. There have been times when I've hollered and cried and wondered what's going on and wondered if I made the right decision. But I think back to before I started, and I asked for this.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly.
I asked for where I am right now. And so then my response goes to what a privilege it is to be challenged
Very
and
good.
exhausted by something that I asked for.
That's very good.
How much of a privilege is it that I'm able to live this life that I literally sat and prayed for?
Very good.
I knew it was going to be hard. How dare I be angry or upset for any length of time?
Well, I don't know. Go back. Don't keep going. I just want to say this. It's like you necessarily didn't know it was going to be hard.
Oh, I knew it was going to be hard.
Oh, you did?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. Every single person I talked to from the moment I even started thinking about it was like, yo, you know it's about to be real hard. It's going to be grueling.
Oh, I'm with that.
For about 2 straight years.
Yeah, I'm with that.
And so I understood that going in, or I thought I understood it going in. That's the real key. I thought I understood.
That's it.
I had an inkling, but I had no idea how hard it would actually be. But I changed the way that I thought about it. There was a long time where I was kind of moping and kind of just, I would always talk positively because that's just the way that I think. But it took a while for my emotions to catch up with the verbal responses that I had. But eventually they did.
For sure.
And now I literally feel that it's a privilege to be doing what I'm doing and to be working as hard as I'm working because this is what I wanted.
Absolutely.
So check this out.
And I still want it. Absolutely. It ain't even something that I just was like, I don't know now. But this is where I'm going is where I aimed. You know what I'm saying?
That's perfect.
I'm on target.
That's beautiful.
Man, you said something that is like so profound for me, man, and I really need to hear that. That was a reality check from my standpoint, right? I really need to hear that because you chose it.
Yeah.
Right? You chose it. So now what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Like,
and not even in a bad way. Not even in a that's what you
Exactly.
get because you asked for this.
No.
Yeah.
I don't even look at it like that.
Yeah.
So the thing is like, what did we say right before we got on call? There is no such things as losses.
Yeah.
Only wins.
Yes.
It's just the way you look at it, right? We got a couple of comments right here. I do want to shout out to Maya. She said,
What's up, Maya? Thanks for dropping in again. She's faithful.
Oh yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
You so loyal.
Yeah, she says, this is deep. A response is also an answer. Without it known within, it can't be accepted. It's primary to know how to respond to yourself before others. Thought that was pretty good.
Here, I'm about to pull that up. Can you read that again?
Yeah, so hopefully I read it right. So this is deep. A response is also an answer without it known within. It can't be accepted. Hopefully I said that right, Maya. it's primary to know how to respond to yourself before the others. Now, that's powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we mentioned that earlier on as well. Yeah.
She probably like, that ain't what I said.
And there's another one from Susan Pryor. Hey, sis.
Hey, Susan.
Give yourself grace. Learn from it, perhaps. Pay more attention to your response next time. There's
Yes.
always the next time. Just choose different.
Yes.
Isn't that powerful?
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
Snaps.
Yeah. And you know what? You know what's interesting is like you learn from them pains, right? Those impacts, those painful situations. And those pains, sometimes they don't feel good. Most of the time they don't feel good.
Right.
But you learn from it.
Yes.
When you survive,
Yeah.
that's causes maturity.
Yes.
And I love
Growth is defined by discomfort and change.
absolutely.
There is no growth without
Absolutely,
discomfort
man.
and change, and it's constant.
I love it.
100%, man.
That's right.
Man, I look at a lobster or a crab as it's de-shelling, and man, that looks painful, man. How they getting it out, and it's necessary, and they got to do it. They have to do it.
And they're vulnerable too.
Yeah. At that,
love it.
yes. Go ahead.
No,
Explain that vulnerability.
go ahead.
Because the thing is when you're vulnerable at that state, predators are ready to do something. They see opportunity, right? As you're changing, as you are growing and ripping that shell off, you are at your most vulnerable state.
Okay. I gotta jump in.
Go ahead, bro.
I just had a thought, and it means a lot to me. I don't know if it's gonna mean anything to y'all. So one of the and it's an exact parallel to what you're talking about. So when a crustacean goes through that phase, it's called molting. When they molt and shed that shell, they know that they're going to be vulnerable. They know that they're going to be exposed in terms of like the softest parts of themselves are going to be, left open to attack or whatever. Can we? You got DoorDash or something? We can have food delivered down here while we finish talking, bro. Gary has not eaten since the last podcast. Okay, so, but you know what they do? They don't molt out in the open, bro. They isolate.
Yeah.
They take time to step back
That's
and
beautiful.
go under a rock or go here or go there, where it's much less likely that those predators or those distractions or those influences from the outside,
good.
that noise will not be able to reach them as easily. You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
To me, that's incredibly powerful because we watch Jesus do the same thing.
Yeah,
not to
absolutely.
not to go too far into the trying to.
No, go ahead, man. Whatever.
But we watch Jesus do the same thing. When Jesus took a moment to step away from his followers,
That's
his
it, man.
disciples, his
Strength.
friends and family, he took a few minutes, 40 days, and he went through a point where he was at his lowest. He was at his most vulnerable. There's no way you could tempt Jesus when he was around his people.
Yeah.
He went away when he knew it was getting ready to happen, and he took time. Oh, man, listen to me.
that's powerful.
That hits me real
Yeah,
hard
man.
because I've had to do that more than once in my life, and I know how impactful that is to take time. And it goes back to the conversation that you guys had last week about stillness, about silence.
Oh, yeah.
Being able to isolate allows you to experience that stillness and that silence. It gets rid of the noise.
Yes.
It gets rid of the outside influences. It gets rid of the social media and the friends and family that don't have positive things to say. And it allows you to take that moment and shed the things that were you before in order to grow into the new you. And that is
That's powerful, man. I'm glad
That's
you
heavy.
brought that up.
put the camera on him. Put the camera on him.
All right, everyone. I think we're going to have to sign off here, man. We got to get some food.
Gary's
we got
about
to
to
get
eat
some
the
food. Man, I'm so glad that everyone joined us on the call tonight. Very good comments, man. Really uplifting to see people comment and participate. You're contributors. You can always contribute. We're all about building each other up. We're all about allowing these words to impact our lives so we can be just beautiful creatures in the sight of God. It's very important for us to do this every day. I want to do this every day. I want this to be something that we do, is being able to move obstacles out of everyone's way and allow maturity to be your focal point every single day of your life. You should be a new version of yourself every morning, you know. And I think that this word that we use about responding, let's take time and be aware of our thoughts, because the way you think, the words are going to come out and follow. You got to be careful with the way you process information, because you want the words that come out of your mouth to be fruitful
And the
not
meditations of your heart.
yeah, be acceptable in that sight. Right? Yeah. But that's actually one of my favorite scriptures anyway, Psalms 19. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my God, my strength, my redeemer. I think that's very important. And in this, I'm going to say this, and this is my last thought. If you decide to get into the Bible, if you decide to start looking at scripture, don't look at it from a traditional standpoint. Do it in a mode where you can meditate and really think about those words. Because a lot of times, my past, I've heard a lot of words and it just went over my head. Now that I'm maturing and I feel that I'm growing in such a way, I look at the scriptures totally different, and I'm able to look at information outside of the biblical construct and grow as well. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. All right. So it's everything that we do is about growth. It's about maturity. It's about being better, beautiful and better people in the sight of God. That's my, anybody else have anything else?
Well said, bro.
Peace, folks. Love and light.
All right. God bless you. We're signing out. Please like, share, and subscribe. God bless you. All right.